Hello. A few days ago I did a video of an obituary for Mikhail Gorbachev, and during the course of that video I spoke about Vladimir Putin as well. By the way, as you will know, he didn't have time to go to Gorbachev's funeral. He was probably too busy throwing people out of windows. But it's a shame, but that's what happens when you start a war. You do miss a lot of good parties. Some people think he didn't go because he didn't like Gorbachev. I'm inclined to believe he didn't dare go because he was too worried about Gorbachev's corpse rising from its open coffin and doing its best to strangle him. Is that my overactive imagination making a horror story, do you think? Do you reckon I'm stretching the limits of probability? Well, I'd say that what's become of Russia stretches the limits of probability of horror and mayhem a lot further than anything Stephen King could have made up. But that wasn't actually what I wanted to talk about. What I did want to say was that one of the comments under my obituary for Gorbachev was that I am obsessed by Putin. It might have escaped the attention of that commenter that we are at war with Russia at present. Okay, perhaps it's not a war. Let's just call it a special military operation to defeat fascism, should we? The man is an evil despot. Of course we've got to think of him. And as many Ukrainians as his latest murderous ambitions will have cost, I should think that would be nothing to the sort of misery that would have been inflicted on the general Ukrainian population had he managed to get control of the place. And he may yet come to that. War's a risky business. I know our media are constantly telling us that Russia is running out of armaments, but, it'll be a long time before Russia runs out of people. We must remember, Russia just switched off the gas to a shivering Germany. We really are at war. In one way, it's a war of guns, but in another, it's desperately a war of ideas and propaganda. If this invasion succeeds, the sort of civilized society that we still have a chance to maintain, if we keep our concentration, will be finished. I know it's got its problems now, but boy, oh boy, if Russia wins, we will have problems we can't even imagine now, and that I can't even imagine now, even with my fertile imagination. I read an article in the Daily Telegraph recently which said that Putin has really won because he's caused economic disruption and civil unrest throughout the West. And some of that might be something to do with Ukraine, but in general, I disagree. The economic problems we have are the result of our own complacency. Putin shook us out of that, and my hope is that he shook us out of it just in time, just a little bit early. He could have waited another, 3, 4, 5 years maybe. And by that time, that nice soft bed we've made for ourselves would have been so soft that we wouldn't have been able to get out of it. As for the civil disobedience, yes, I'm pretty certain that some of it is being encouraged by the employment of useful idiots with Russian or even Chinese connections, but those guys destroying petrol pumps and gluing themselves to works of art and even to pieces of furniture in the House of Commons, they're doing what they're doing because they believe they can get away with it. And that's not Russia's fault. It's not China's fault. It's the fault of our governments, the people we have voted for. Perhaps this upheaval is a sign that we should enforce a little more law and order. now. It's not an irredeemable situation, but it's certainly a wake-up call. Meanwhile, I am not obsessed by Putin, but I am obsessed by how Britain and countries like Finland and Estonia can handle the Eastern Europe situation and keep our heads high, because it is just us who are actually bearing the torch for this. I'm sorry to say, France and Germany are definitely losing concentration and cowering like a couple of drug addicts when the dealer waves that little bag in the air but won't give it to them until they've run some errands for him. I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. I let you know when I've uploaded a video on @Granniopteryx on Twitter, Gab and Parler. If you subscribe to one of those, you'll always get notifications, which is not what I can say about YouTube. Also, please like this video, please share it, subscribe, and if you are subscribed, check it, because again, YouTube tends to drop subscriptions somehow. Yeah, that's it. Like, share, subscribe, and of course support, and you'll find the links for various pathways to that in the description below. There's Buy Me a Coffee, Subscribe Star and PayPal. Okay, till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Granniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share, share, share.